give me a kazoo. They didn't like that.
I don't think a kazoo is part of the bluegrass instrument family. Y'all, it's Kevin with the Bluegrass Sound Check. Happy Saturday. Hope everybody had a good week and is having a good weekend. Got another guest here today as we continue my local artist spotlight series on my YouTube channel. Very excited and very happy to introduce Little Joe McAlister. Joe, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
We're going to start out by telling us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, how you got started, and what influenced you throughout the years to do what you do now.
Well, I'm originally from 2 miles out the road at Comertown, a little community east of Shenandoah in the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains. Just lived there as a kid, had a bicycle and a guitar. And Mom and Dad used it as leverage. If I would get bad grades there, they knew where it hurt. They would take my guitar there, and then my grades would come up so I could get my guitar back.
Yeah.
My dad and my uncle there started playing guitar and banjo when I was about 8. I'd sit in a room with them a lot of times there, and I'd be bored to death, really, not knowing what to do. And they give me a kazoo. They didn't like that.
I don't think a kazoo is part of the bluegrass instrument family.
And that little snare drum, they give me that, and boy, it didn't take them long there to get rid of that either. But my Uncle Mark had a big body, it looked like some of those big body Fender guitars, and an 8-year-old kid trying to reach up over the top of that thing and get a chord was a little bit hard to do.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much where I started learning how to play the guitar. I ended up trading a go-kart to my Uncle Mark there for my first guitar that I still got.
Well, good.
Then my mom and dad, they had music around them all the time. We went to Nashville there 3rd week in August, ever since I was at least 6 years old, I think, and all the way up through my teenage years. Mom's record cabinet was a big thing that influenced me. I'd leaf through searching for songs to write down for me and my dad and my uncle there to play.
Right.
And I'd come across, the big names, Hank Williams, Roy Acuff. A lot of bluegrass stuff was in there, Jim and Jesse. And the Step Brothers. I like to tell that story there about how I thought they were from Nashville just because they was in Mom's record cabinet. And then come to find out, met Raymond later on through a nephew of mine. They worked together, and then ended up playing music with him some.
Yeah.
And being around him, and I really respect Raymond.
Yeah, he's a good man.
And James. And
both of them are.
moved on into the years of partying and playing a lot of music, and not really doing anything with it other than just killing time.
Yeah.
And then progressed on into where I needed to change my life and give my heart to the Lord, started going to church. The preacher asked me to bring my guitar along one day, and I started playing with Ashby Williams there at church. We formed a little group called the Masters Men for a while. It was Ronnie Haney, Dennis Harlow, Mark Hensley, and Ashby Williams. And then as the Lord led us to different things in our life, we split off and went and made groups of our own. Me and Ronnie went out together, pulled in Glenn Nicely from Penlaird, fine family that, they musically talented. Pulled in Jason Smith early.
Yep, I remember that.
And before he went with Stacy Roach across the mountain with Country Poor, Country Proud.
Yeah.
I'm not sure the name. Country Poor was their name, right?
Something like that. Yeah. I don't fully remember, but I believe you're on the right track with it.
Then Murdoch Conley came in. We called ourselves Heartstrings at the time. Moved on into those fellas there, found different things to do. Glenn stuck with me.
Yeah, he did.
And then we met up with, through a preacher friend of ours, we met up with Dale Wanger, Dave Davidson along the way, who used to play with Jesse Jenkins and Culpepper. Went around, played a lot of different stuff at the churches and everything. Loved playing with Budgie Dean, all kinds of different people locally.
Yeah.
And then Glenn come into failing health, and then he wasn't able to play with us anymore, so I called on your dad.
Right.
And then Tony, all I'd have to do was call Tony there, and he would set up the musicians that we needed, and we went around, played more churches, picnics, loved picnics, different things. Called ourselves the Minutemen there once upon a time, and then he invited Sandra to come in, and that Minutemen just didn't fit anymore.
No, not when you got a woman involved.
So I think somebody in the crowd back at Jolliet there hollered out there, "Just call yourself the Last Minute," because that's when you got here. So progressed into that, and then we got the news there of your dad's passing.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like another chapter started. Didn't really want to get back into the music really as far as a group, and kind of just put it on the back burner for a little while until the album come out. The album Dying Breed come out.
Right.
We had one prior, but it wasn't really a group affiliated CD. It was just a personal thing of all the songs that I wrote.
Right.
Met up, through 10 years of doing the Dying Breed album. It took me 10 years to do that.
It's a long time.
Yeah, mainly because of work and, family problems, different things going on. The man, Jim McCoy, he has a studio back in Berkeley Springs, and, I believe the Lord really led me to him because he was 76, I think, when I met him. On into his 80s, he started getting in failing health, but he was hanging on to that country music dream. He traveled with Patsy Cline. He was instrumental in a radio show at the time where Jimmy Dean picked her up.
Right.
And then he played around with Patsy Cline as she got, more well known. I think he even traveled a little bit with Ernest Tubb. And then Greg come up and recorded with me. Ronnie come up and recorded, Glenn, and this was in Berkeley Springs, West Virginia. And met a fellow named Will Shank, and he has a local recording studio in Woodstock.
Right.
And I think it's Metier Music Recording. I'm not sure. We have to look back on the name.
We'll have to look that
I'll
one.
introduce you to him.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
If you remember, the first time we met, when I got hooked up playing with you, was at a picnic. Where was that at? The Man's Mule was in the movies.
Really? Steve Foster?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
That's the first time I met you and played with you.
Really?
Yep.
Well, I just talked with Steve this week, and he's having some health problems himself, and he still has the Gospel Barn open. I think it's don't quote me real tightly there. You have to look up Steve Foster and Amazing Grace. But I think it's the first and third Saturday of each month that he has, established a gospel barn that he calls it, and he has music talent coming in front row.
That's really good. We'll put the descriptions of where to find that spot with him. I've been there a couple of times. It's very well worth going to. Good music.
You'll
good
love
food.
Grace.
Yeah, and Amazing Grace is great. So it's a good time. And since Dad has passed on, I've taken up the mantle as bass player. So any off-time issues is my fault. Blame me. Okay, we're going to talk about a couple of your band members that people may not know. We're going to start with Dave Davidson from over across the mountain.
Yep.
Our dobro player.
In Madison.
Great dobro player. Madison.
Yep, that's where he's from originally, Madison there. And met Dave, like I say, through Jesse Jenkins coming to Hensley's church. And just a humble bunch of fellas there, and really enjoyed playing with them. And I can't remember exactly how me and Dave really started playing together, you know how these venues that asked you to play, we just kind of show up, and next thing you know, half of the group's playing with this other half of the group, and then next thing you know, I mean, we're doing things on the side together,
Yeah.
and just enjoy playing music together. I've been playing, I guess, with Dave probably now for at least 7 years on a regular basis through Fairview Christian Church in
Right.
Hood,
Okay, yeah.
Madison County. We go there on the second Sunday of the month, which was invited by a mutual preacher friend of me and Dale Wanger.
Mm-hmm.
And they invited us there to play every second Sunday of the month during the church service.
Yeah.
And that has kind of progressed into the group that we really have now, excluding Glenn Nicely, who has passed.
Yeah.
But Dave's eager to play anytime I ask him. I mean, sometimes his schedule, he plays with another group now called Rough Cut, which is Stacy Roach.
Yeah. I met them here the other month when we played over at the Standardsville Fire Hall. They were the next band up.
Right.
They done a really good job. Dave is a really good dobro player.
Absolutely.
Really good guy. And I've recently just met Dale. I've played with him a couple times at Elkton, but I haven't really got to know him till here recently. And he's an excellent musician.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
And he's featured multiple times on your CD.
Right. Well, you might say that half of that CD, the more acoustic half of this CD, is thanks to Dale, because he took us into his house. It was actually me and Jason Smith and Dave. I think Glenn came up once or twice there, and we put some stuff down on tracks.
Mm-hmm.
But Dale took it under his wing, and some songs is just Dale.
Mm-hmm.
Like A Day in My Dreams, the first cut off of the CD.
Yeah, it's a good song.
Most of that is Dale by himself. He does the bass, he does the lead guitar, he does the banjo, and I think he even maybe put a mandolin in something somewhere.
Man.
But he done it all with the recording thing that he had there in his living room. And he actually is with a group now, I think Swift Run.
Yeah. I believe so.
Is that right?
I think so.
Excuse me, Dale.
And the most recent guy we've brought on, I've only met one other time at your shop who plays fiddle and harmonica.
Yeah, Ronnie Haney, dear friend. Like I say, when I started coming to church, the first year that I started coming to church there, I didn't play. I just kind of sat and listened. Mm-hmm. Big musical church. I mean, we have quite a few people that's just talented, on their instruments, help other people out all the time. Then I fell out of church there for a while, and when I came back and really dedicated my life to the Lord, met Ronnie Haney. Mm-hmm. And he was up there with his fiddle, and we started playing together, played different places. We might not be as polished as some of the musicians around here, like Jacob and Caleb and Canton, mm-hmm. But we love making a joyful noise, and like I say, the Lord's led us into a ministry kind of our own, because every Sunday morning there, except for the second Sunday, we'll do the nursing home, Journey's Crossing. Yeah. We still play together at different things, and I was looking for a way to bring Ronnie into a group. He had to take some time off while his mom was failing in health, and she had since passed, and I think it opens up Ronnie's schedule now for being able to play with us, and then you come on board. Yeah. After your dad passed and everything, I was not really wanting to do anything, but you still get invites that you don't really want to say no to. Right. And you feel led to do something, and that's when I asked you to go with us at Beldor. Yeah. For the invite at Beldor Mennonite Church, and appreciate you coming on board.
I appreciate the offer.
You know, that's 5 of us now. We got a 5-piece band.
I know it, and I thought we do pretty good, to be honest with you.
Last night really summed it up there at Cooters, because before we got there, I really didn't know what to call us, you know, but we had been going by handpicked from the church over at Hood. And well, when the fella asked there, said, "What's your band's name?" I said, we really don't have one. And Dave spoke up and said, "Well, we go by Handpicked, Joe McAlister and Handpicked." Yeah. And well, I said, "Well, you just kind of established it there as our name, so Handpicked is what we'll go by, as long as it's okay with all the fellas." And you know, that's where we're at right now. You know, we played Cooters yesterday, which was a big experience for me. My nerves were shot.
No, I thought you done fine.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to add one of the videos that we done to this interview when we done All Aboard. That the last song that we did turned out really
for the
really
second
good.
time around.
Second time. That's just because we liked it so much.
Yeah.
Now for my favorite part. I enjoy talking to everybody and learning everything about it. But one of my favorite parts is the picking and singing part.
Right.
So I'm glad you brought your guitar with you,
Sir. Yes, sir.
and we're gonna get into that. What's the first song you're gonna be doing for us?
I'd like to do. I'm bad with names a lot of times, even on my own songs. It's called "That's Why His Story Is Told."
Okay.
I sat down and read the Christmas story out of Luke to begin with, then studied a little bit there for Matthew, and as I was reading it, I wanted the Lord to really speak to my heart there about what He wanted me to take away from reading His Word.
Right.
Because we can read God's Word, and me and you can read the same thing, but both of us will get something different because of the Holy Spirit speaking to us. And well, the big thing that I took away from it was how Joseph and Mary, they had to travel, so far to go pay taxes or answer to the census.
Right.
Well, a lot of things that gets left out of that story is it was 100 miles in between where they lived to where they had to go.
It's a long journey.
Yeah, and no cars, no road, no real good road system. A lot of dangers along the way.
Right.
And I kind of remember how it was for my mom and dad, starting off as a young couple, with kids and everything, and how hard it was, for them to make it through Christmas a lot of times. Sometimes Christmas would really, but Mom and Dad never really let on that it was a bad thing. I didn't realize it was a hardship until I got living it myself.
we all feel that.
Yeah,
we think money just comes out of nowhere until we get older.
Yeah.
So this one is how his story was told.
That's why his story
was told.
Yes, sir. Yes.
That's why his story was told. Joe McAlister.
And I'm not his finer picker. I call myself a rough-end man. That way y'all fine pickers can fine-tune it for me.
Oh, I'm sure you'll do just fine.
They set out to go to the city, Mary being great with child. Joseph, he walked alongside of the burro, the journey near 100 miles. Led only by the love for each other and the need to bring forth God's child. They knew not what the future held for them, or the baby she carried inside. For Joseph knew the babe's name would be Jesus, born to save us from sin. Mary knew he was
in Joseph and Mary's, it is hard here around Christmas time. But we need to ask our Lord what's important and what He has planned for our lives. You may be facing a financial problem, or maybe you've been told you'll die. Maybe you're locked in some cold, lonely prison. Seek Jesus, let Him be your guide. Joseph knew the babe's name would be Jesus, born to save us from sin. Mary knew He was the Son of the highest, of His kingdom there shall be no end. Born of flesh to two plain earthly people, the example for us to behold. The way He handled trials and tribulations, that's why His story is told. Yes, that's why His story is told.
That was great. That was a really good song. And that's number 7 on your CD that you just put out.
It's funny there about number 7 because number 7's been a big thing in my life all the time. Emerson Rock, right up here on the mountain that Daddy called it up around the fence. But there's a rock slide on the side of the mountain up here in the shape of a 7. And you can see it going all out Cornertown Road.
Really?
Daddy worked for 7-Up Bottling Company for all them years. My sister's born on December 7th. A lot of things down through the years leading up to me and my wife being married. We got married on July 7th, which is 7-7.
Yep.
Pulled up at Countryside Market there for $7 worth of gas just to be cute and bought a 7-Up. Got 7 cents in change.
That's, well, hey.
It's a wedding day story.
In the good book, 7 was the number of perfection.
Right. And now this right here, the Lord leading me to the words of that song. I don't think it was staged. I think it just the way that it ended up in the lineup.
I think it done great. Yeah. Speaking of the CD, and I got my copy right here. We'll show everybody. I got this here a couple weeks back, and I've listened to it multiple times since. I enjoy it. I like every song on here. Every last one of them, from 1 to 13, is a great collaboration of music. Now, this is the one that took you 10 years to accomplish.
Really, yeah. From the time that I wrote, I prayed for the Lord to guide me in what I needed to do with my music, because I've always had the dream since I was a kid to make $1 million, make it big, so I could do this or that. And we get caught up in the material thing a lot of times, but it's more of a calling now that I'm into the music and I'm meeting the people that I'm meeting. It's something that's just born in us that the Lord made us that way, that we want to share things. We want to share our point of view, and we can do that in music. And sometimes it fits, sometimes it don't. Sometimes people's offended, and some people, they're more accepting of different things, knowing you. And we do what we can and what we're led to do. And sometimes it don't always fall into place, and that's why it took 10 years to really get it. Some of the songs that I've written on here date back to the 90s.
Really?
The first song on there, Day in My Dreams. Testimony is supposed to be 100% honest. And to be 100% honest, I wrote that song when I was too drunk to sleep.
Right.
And I came down and got my guitar, and in 15 minutes I wrote that song. And looking back on that song, I wanted to put it on this album because it was a direct communication with me and the Lord before I even really knew Him.
Right.
And I can tell that I was having a conversation with the Lord in my drunkenness.
Right.
And, I wanted to share that because, no matter how bad the blemishes are on our life and everything, we still need to be honest and show, where we come from to where the Lord's brought us to.
And that's really what music is all about, whether it's country or bluegrass. It's about the realness of what
Right.
those two genres
Absolutely.
bring. It's love, heartache, gain, loss,
Yes.
heartache. It's all in between. Now, did you write all 13 songs?
All 13.
That's amazing.
The
I've tried to
reason
write some myself,
that
and it's hard.
The reason I stick to with my writings is because if I make an album, I got to pay $500 per thousand there for royalty rights.
Right.
So this way, I don't have to pay
You don't
myself.
have to do all that. There's back with all 13 tracks.
Yeah.
Now, one song on here I got a question about because it piqued my interest as soon as I seen it, and as soon as I listened to it. Number 6, I'd love to fill their shoes. Is that an answer to George Jones? Who's going to fill their shoes?
It absolutely is.
I thought it was.
I told my dad back, and I think I wrote this one before I was 21. Before I was 21. I told my dad there that I would like to answer. George Jones asked a direct question,
He did.
who's going to fill their shoes? And I've heard Greg Lamb ask, who's going to keep up the tradition of
I've heard him
coming
ask
up?
the same thing.
And Greg has been a big influence. Even before I knew him, just the Lamb Brothers music coming out, that was a guiding light there for me to be able to know, that it's okay to be myself.
Yeah.
And that, we can do our own things, be our own person, and, not be ashamed of ourselves.
Right. And he had a big influence on everybody that is associated with bluegrass in this area.
Absolutely.
Every person that I will interview throughout this year that we'll sit with on this couch, on the bench, in a room, is having some direct contact with the Lamb Brothers music.
The first time that I really played with Greg there, Greg was asked to do a funeral with Danny Lamb being the singer, and Danny was sick, and Greg didn't know who he could get, so he called me up, and that was the first time that me and Greg ever really done anything together. And from that time on, he would ask me to fill in
Right.
with him, and I was honored to be pulled into that. I didn't want to invite myself, but boy, I've always wanted to be around him and play.
He's a great man.
Absolutely. And with George, I'd love to fill their shoes. It's not George Jones was asking the question, about who is going to come on and play the traditional kind of country music that that he grew up on.
Right.
And nowadays, you listen to the radio and everything, and you can't determine what is country and what is rock anymore by just playing with the channels. You
Right.
used to be able to tell, when you come across a country station or a rock station or a blues station, they were distinctive, their own thing.
Yeah.
But nowadays, I guess, it gets lost in money.
It does.
Because what sells is what they gotta, get out there, and because everybody's in the business for making money, and me also, I'm looking to have some extra income here at 50 years old. I get tired of rolling underneath the trucks and lifting heavy stuff and doing the things. I don't mean to get lazy.
Right.
But I would like to have some revenue coming in off of another project.
I don't blame you at all. And this CD is out for how much?
$10 most places.
Uh-huh.
Locally, most places are doing 10, but some of them have a markup, whatever the store markup is. I have them in Kite Store locally, Countryside Market, Chiefy's, Bear's Grocery at the foot of the mountain.
Yeah.
Over in Ruckersville, we have them in Bootville. Madison, I said this wrong the last time, but it's Madison Wood Preservers, the contractors sales department.
Okay.
Not the log place across the road.
Right.
I'd have to get with them too to know. MWP is right there
Right.
in Madison. They're for sale. Down at Sports Shop at Merrimack in Culpeper. I thought it was kind of a fun thing to do. I stopped in there because that was one of my dad's stores on his route.
Right.
And when I went in there, the same lady was in there from when I was a kid.
No kidding.
Yeah, riding on Dad's truck, and she's got them for sale down there in Culpeper at Sports Shop at Merrimack.
Man, you can get them from everywhere, from the valley to
Yeah,
across the mountain. And I was
around
actually
here.
over at Bootville here a few weeks back, buying a pair of boots. Shout out to them. And your CD, I seen your CD in the basket, and they had already sold 4
All right.
to
That's right.
whoever had come
That's
through.
right.
So thank you to whoever
Yeah.
bought them.
Yeah.
Now going back to the CD, I'm gonna have you play another song for us. What song are we gonna be doing now?
The past holds the key.
Okay, now this is one I haven't heard or played with, and it's not on the CD.
It's a special song. Like I say, our testimony a lot of times, it's not glamorous.
Right.
We come from, where we let our lifestyle get out of hand. In this case, I landed myself in jail after being a Christian.
Right.
After giving my heart to the Lord. It was just the fallout from the way I lived my life before. Didn't have a license, got caught driving. They put me in jail. They put me in solitary confinement. And I asked for a Bible, a pencil, and a piece of paper.
Mm-hmm.
They never did give me the Bible, but they give me a legal pad and a pencil that wasn't sharpened.
Yeah.
It was blunt.
Can't write like
So
that.
I had to find some way in that jail cell with nothing around me sharp to sharpen my pencil.
Yeah.
And, I did, and it's the first and only song that I've ever written without a guitar in my hand.
No kidding.
So,
Well, I'm excited to hear it.
I think with all of the problems that we're having in the world today, I can remember all the stores that I would go to and how Dad would teach me how to interact with people, and watching other people of the same nature, interact with each other. We had one thing in common, and we were corrected at home.
Right.
We didn't wait until we got out into the line of the store to be corrected. We were corrected at home, so most of the time we got that look.
Yeah. That look does
It
a lot.
it kept us in line because we knew what that look was about, and we straightened up. And me riding with my dad since I was 5 years old, all the way up until my teenage years when he come off the route, it really taught me a lot about how to interact with people.
I tell you, riding around with your dad, whether it's in a truck or a car, going to work or music like I did, you learn a lot of wisdom from the man in the driver's seat.
Absolutely.
And here it is again, Joe McAlister with
The past holds the key.
Past Holds the Key.
Let's go back in time and fill our days with work and with family. Lend to our neighbors a helping hand, lose all of our notions of greed. Get back to living the way God intended. I see it so clear in my dreams. Let's go back in time. I feel we all need to. The past, I think, holds the key. Now have you heard while talking to some old fella that ain't the way it was long ago? When he's complaining about some young teenage kid that just let that door go. Well, I'd like to turn him right over my knee and give him what Daddy would have given to me. But back then, there wouldn't have been any need. The past, I think, holds the key. Let's go back in time and fill our days I see it so clear in my dreams. Let's go back in time. I feel we all need to. The past, I think, holds the key. Now in the past we've made a lot of mistakes. There's no need reliving it all. But as far as the caring and sharing, I think it would be good for us all. So dress up the family and take them to church like the old folks did on Sunday. What could it hurt? You might find you look good in your best shirt. The past, I think, holds the key. Let's go back in time and fill our days with work and with family. Lend to our neighbors a helping hand. Lose all of our notions of greed. Get back to living the way God intended. I see it so clear in my dreams. Let's go back in time. I feel we all need to. The past, I think, holds the key. Let's go back in time. I feel we all need to. The past, I think, holds the key.
The past holds the key. That was a great song. First time I'd ever heard it. I think you've done a good job writing that. Now, going back to the CD, you let me know that there's other places you can also buy it besides just in store.
I don't know exactly all of them because I think they're still unfolding. I just got an email the other day about their CD Baby is promoting it to different digital formats. iTunes, Apple Music, Spotify, and one email come up this week there about TikTok.
Oh, yeah.
I've never heard of that.
That's a new social media platform that a lot of people are using for short videos. I know several people that's on it and watch it, but I haven't used it myself.
And to sample the CD, it's on YouTube.
Oh,
All
that's
tracks.
great.
All tracks. All
That's
you gotta
good.
do is pull them up by name.
Uh-huh.
You can pull up Dying Breed or any songs that you hear, other places. You can pull them up by name, and they're available there.
Well, good. I've enjoyed this. I think the CD is great. Your songs, I can't believe you wrote all 13 of them.
Yeah.
The two you've done here. The interview has been really inspiring because of you not holding back with the failures you've had in life leading up to this point. And like my pastor has said before, or like I've told him before, that a lot of people don't want you to think they're perfect, but that they ran a close second to the man that was.
Well, I don't see how you can help anybody if you're perfect to begin with. That just kind of lets somebody who is feeling like a failure think that they can't reach that goal.
Yeah.
Unless they know where you've been. Now, I'm not proud of a lot of things that I've done, but at the same time, I don't exclude what I've done because there might be somebody out there that just thinks they can't pull themselves up out of the pit and they don't know where to turn. And me turning to the Lord really. My wife wasn't so convinced, when I come back from my trip,
I'll bet not.
that I was a changed man, and I really had to, really prove myself, that I was, and that's what the Lord and the Holy Spirit does. It guides you through, gets you out of those spots, thing where you did fail, and then moves you into a more solid ground is what it's all about. We were on shaky ground through our teenage years, and how in the world we made it through a lot of things. Car wrecks, just because of drunkenness or speed, didn't even have to be drinking at all, just kind of rambunctious teenagers. Right. And, well, we come out this side, of the problems that we had. And I think we need to kind of be a light to the rest of the people, that might be lost.
Yeah, I mean, you can't be a witness if you can't relate.
Yeah, and I'm still working out things now in my life and everything that's not acceptable to God. That He knows about me, that I'm really trying to rid in my life and move forward and gather the beauty of the life that we have, you know, the freedom that we have to move on to our older years and to help our kids out, and maybe even our grandkids if we're fortunate enough to have some.
I think it's great, and I've enjoyed this time with you sitting here doing this. Again, Dying Breed, Little Joe McAlister, 10-year project in the making, all original songs, out now throughout the valley, across the mountain, Spotify, iTunes, YouTube. You can find it here, or contact me, contact Joe. He's got a Facebook account that you can contact him on to get your copy today. And as we mentioned earlier, we was at Cooters down in Bluegrass the other day, and so I'm going to post a video from that where we done a version of Del McCurry's All Aboard, which is a really good song. Is there anything coming up in the near future for that you'd like to tell the people about to keep in mind to come see us?
Well, we have the nursing homes and the churches that we go to on a regular basis. Elkton Free Will Baptist Church with Pastor Billy King, and all the, you know, the musicians up there, Ashby Williams and all. The nursing home we do every Sunday morning before church, and there's a lot of people, you know, around this area and everything have kin people and loved ones. They'll if you visit your loved one in Journey's Crossing, you can sit and have an hour full of music there.
That's great.
From 10 to 11. And then we just got an invite this morning to the big gym park coming up in September, I think 27th. I'll post a real date and a time, you know, as it gets closer to us.
And I'll do this. I'll be sure to do the same thing, not only in the video but in my other social media sites.
And me and my wife have made a commitment on the fourth Sunday of the month and everything that we're traveling to Nashville. A couple weeks ago we went down to Nashville to make some connections, and we met with some people at BMI about the royalty thing and make sure everything. We're still in a little bit of kind of a problem there with that, with taxes and the business end of you know, the money and the royalties. We've met a couple people down there with producers. Nothing real major, but we're knocking on doors. And at this time there, since the kids have grown and they're doing their own thing, it gives me and Christy a time to do some traveling before we get too old that we can't.
Yeah, definitely want to do that. So you're definitely putting in the legwork to get this music out there. And you can find it here. Again, stores throughout the valley, different places on social media. You can find it $10 in most places, maybe a little more in other stores for markup.
I think on
well worth it.
the digital formats and everything, they're up around 14 maybe, 14, 15.
But definitely worth it. Definitely worth
Thank you.
it. Joe, I appreciate you coming by
Yes, sir.
and sitting with me and playing songs
Yes,
with me.
sir,
I've
absolutely.
enjoyed it.
Congratulations on this Bluegrass sound check.
I appreciate
That is
it.
great. That is great.
I appreciate it.
I enjoy looking at all of the reviews that you've got, and it's leading me to more music, you know, myself.
Yeah.
So it'll improve mine.
That's what this is all about, is getting that out there, introducing old songs to new people, and seeing where it goes from there, and make sure it all gets out there. Again, glad to have Little Joe McAlister here with us. Dying Breed, out now. Subscribe, hit that bell, tell your friends. We'll see you next time, and remember, there's always time for one more.
I can feel the wheels turning underneath my feet as I pull the shade down my window seat. Praying where I'm going is better than where I've been. And the stranger sits down as if he's right at home, touches me and says, I see you're traveling alone. By the way, son, you forgot to say amen. He says, I guess there's something I need to explain. I try to speak to everyone riding this train. Some of them listen, but most don't pay me no mind. And the wheels keep rolling, the world keeps turning. All aboard, all aboard.
Mm.